This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting, brought to you by Spreaker from iHeart. I'm Gavin Gaddis, in for Tom Webster. Here's what you need to know for today, Thursday, May 2nd. First up, the podcast measurement version 2.2 is ready for implementation. The IAB Tech Lab has finished incorporating feedback from the public into version 2.2 of the podcast technical measurement guidelines. Changes include new language requiring podcast measurement companies to document how they solve for anomalous activities such as sudden download spikes from a single IP address. Up next, brands choose football marketing momentum at NFL Draft. The NFL Draft is currently underway, and brands are working to capture the tuned-in sports fandom that habitually follows the perennial football event. Nationwide, Rocket Mortgage, even Snickers are getting in on the draft. Big sporting events and recurring franchises are proving to be popular in 2024, as Digiday notes in their coverage of publishers investing in tentpole and cyclical events. Next up, news orgs are done begging for ad dollars. IAB CEO David Cohen announced at NewsFronts on Monday that 69% of consumers say advertising in disconcerting news has no negative effect on how they perceive a brand. 94% of consumers have a neutral or positive opinion of brands that advertise in quote-unquote quality news content. Much like the medium moves the messages finding that podcast audiences tend to favor brands that financially support their favorite podcasts, even if the subject of the episode is particularly negative or offensive. The next challenge is effectively communicating the value of news audiences to brands who are skittish enough to continue using tactics like keyword block lists. Next up, Spotify is ready to compete for video advertising. Spotify made its first appearance at NewsFronts as part of a larger move to attract advertising to its digital video inventory. And that inventory is growing, as Spotify podcasters have uploaded over 500,000 video episodes since the feature was first released. In addition to video podcasts, Spotify is also getting into the CTV or connected television game with partnerships like one with Roku that allows ads to be run on the Roku Spotify app. Up next, Audible tests lower-priced plan in possible response to Spotify from Bloomberg. Amazon's audiobook subscription service Audible is testing a new, cheaper audiobook plan that brings the service more in line with use it or lose it subscription services like Spotify's Listen Hour scheme. Traditionally, Audible has been built around the premise of subscribers receiving a token that can be used on any audiobook that is then permanently added to the user's library, regardless of if they keep subscribing. The new Audible Standard plan being piloted in Australia costs half the price, $8.99 AUD versus $16.45, and offers one token per month that cannot be rolled over. Standard plan users cannot access purchased audiobooks if they stop subscribing and only receive limited access to Audible Originals podcasts. As for the rest of the news, Libsyn Ads has published their April 2024 podcast advertising rates. The average CPM, or cost per 1,000 impressions, for a 60-second podcast ad spot was $21.75, down $1.01 year over year. Hungry for more NewsFronts coverage? Adweek covers 3 big takeaways from 20 companies shaping the future of TV advertising, and Marketing Dive finds authenticity has slipped as a valued trait in influencers for Gen Z consumers, down to 35%, while 47% of Gen Z consumers say they care more about follower count. Be sure to check out all the links to every article mentioned right in your podcast listening app or at soundsprofitable.com, where you can also subscribe to the newsletter version. The Download is written and produced by Brian Barletta, myself, and Tom Webster. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis. Download us tomorrow.